Hello everyone and welcome back to the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. When we last left off, we've just defeated a dragon without so much as having to draw our swords, so we are definitely up to any challenge that might still be ahead of us. But with that being said, I'm quite confident that this surprise guard was the pet guardian of the Warlock, and at the very least we are very close to him. So before we face Zagor, let us do two things real quick. First of all, let us buff up as much as we can. We lack 2 stamina points, so even though a unit of provisions or a portion of provisions restores 4, I'm still going to burn 1 just to be on the safe side. With that, our stats are maxed out, or as maxed out as they can be. Now let's review our equipment. We have an enchanted sword, which is the steel sword, but it's duplicated, and the crescent shield. We have found 82 gold pieces, and we have a whole bunch of stuff, including 3 keys. There is nothing else that we should wait for, so let us proceed, hopefully, to our final confrontation. We leave the cavern and follow a long, narrow corridor. After several hundred meters, it ends at a large wooden door, which is slightly ajar. Carefully, we ease it open a little further and poke our head around the side to see what is in the room. We see a small old man sitting at a table on his own, playing with a pack of cards. He looks quite a harmless old soul, grey-haired and bearded. He is seated. Alright, now let us not be fooled by this display of weakness. He is clearly the Warlock. How do we know this? Well, we have been told by the villagers back at the beginning of our adventure, or even before our adventure, that part of his power is in his pack of cards, so it's definitely a clear hint. He has also been said that he's either young or old, which is not much to go on, but at least we have an old man in front of us, so 50% of the villagers must have been right. Alright, we have a few options. We could burst through the door, draw our sword and try to attack him. I don't think we can surprise the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. He is clearly aware of our approach. We know that at the very least, since that event in the picture room, if you recall, or once we have defeated his zombies, he's been, well, I'm not sure he's been awaiting us, but he knows that we're coming for sure, so a surprise is out of the question. This sounds like a bad idea. We could get down on all fours and try to creep into the room unnoticed, which sounds ridiculous. I'm quite confident that he has heard our battle with the dragon, and even if he didn't, I would be shocked if he was not aware of our presence once we enter his own personal chambers. So instead we are going to be civil. Just because we are here to murder and rob him doesn't mean we can not be, eloquent and civilized with him. So we are going to knock on the door and enter and greet him courteously. The old man looks at us, accepts our greetings and bids us sit down. We sit at the table and notice that he is glaring at us. His piercing stare is becoming hypnotic. But we realize this and break eye contact. He opens his mouth to speak, and to our amazement, instead of an old man's voice, the whole room resonates with a powerful voice which seems to be coming from the walls themselves. We throw a glance back at the man, and we can see him changing before our very eyes. He is of imposing height. His tattered black eyes are fixed, directly on ours. He has been expecting us, just like we've said. Okay, so the first confrontation has been made. We are dealing with the Warlock, that's for sure. And, well, let's see what he has up his sleeve. This battle will call upon all our reserves of strength and cunning. Our adversary has disappeared and now stands at the far end of the room in front of a door with 2 locks. And he is donning his absolutely most majestic teal and gold sandals and robes, along with some purple spells coming out of his black gloves. If you recall, the black gloves were also mentioned by the villagers. I don't know what this snake-like thing is supposed to be. Maybe it's his microphone to a loudspeaker. His dreadlocks, he's just about everything, or maybe it's just amulets that he's wearing. He doesn't look imposing, but it is clear that he is magically very much adept, and he might be more dangerous than... Well, we know he's dangerous, but he might be more dangerous than he looks, because he looks ridiculous here. Okay, so we have a few options. We could grip our sword and advance towards him. That's not a smart idea. He can either teleport, or he can cast illusions, so frontal attack is not advisable. We might just slash through thin air. We could look around the room for another means of attack. If you recall, he was playing with the deck of cards, so maybe we could use that to our advantage, since he's supposed to store some of his powers in there. Or we could look through our pack for a weapon to use, and we are going to do just that, because we know, as we rummage through our haversack, we know that the Eye of the Cyclops is a weapon to him. So let's hope that this at least weakens him before we are forced to engage in a direct battle with him. So let's see. We hold the eye up in front of him, and the jewel gives off a dull glow. We point it towards him, and he shrieks. He backs away into a corner, and a beam of light shoots from the jewel. As it falls on him, he sinks to the floor, and a remarkable transformation takes place. He starts to shrivel and grow visibly older in front of us. His skin wrinkles and cracks, and he slowly becomes an amorphous heap in the corner. After some moments, the jewel stops glowing, and we approach the lifeless bundle of cloth. His robes are all that remain. Well, this was anticlimactic. Just by showing him the jewel, he melted down, and quite literally melted down and died. We didn't need an enchanted sword or maxed out stats to deal with him like this. But at the very least, we still have food and these potions left that we couldn't use or sell. Whatever. Wow. Okay. This adventure seems to be almost over. Let's see what else we still have to do. With the Warlock now defeated, we know our quest is almost over. That's right. Why isn't it over? Period. We approach the door to his chambers, open it, and peer around. Alright. The door opens to reveal a small, dimly lit room. The walls are hung with ornate curtains, laced in silver and gold. A single flame burns in one corner, throwing light on a low table in the middle of the floor. On this table is a large chest. Right, that's our prize, that's our goal, that's what we came here for. We step up to investigate the chest, and from all around, yet from nowhere, a mysterious sound fills the room. It sounds like the rumbling of thunderclouds, preparing to make storm. We approach the chest and can see that it is held shut by 3 locks. As we approach, the noise gets louder. Alright, so it's clearly magically protected, and now we can state with certainty that the villagers were wrong, or mistaken. It has 3 locks, not 2 as they were telling us, so I don't think they were trying to mislead us, they just didn't have full info on the Warlock's equipment. Anyway, we have two options. We could hack at the box with our sword, try and split it open. This sounds an exceptionally stupid idea. This is clearly very well protected by magic, and even our enchanted sword is not going to do anything about it. I'm 100% certain of that. Or we could search through our bags to see if we can find keys to fit. Well, we do have a couple of keys, so let's see if that works. During our adventure, we have come across various keys, and we have collected some of these. Right. 3 of them must be the correct combination to open the chest. Okay? Peering at the chest more closely, we notice that the number 321 is inscribed faintly across the top. Alright. 321. Well, apart from the boathouse key, which I'm pretty sure will be of no use here, we have a red key, a small key, and a bronze key. And the numbers are 111, once again 111, and 99. And if we add up these numbers, it's exactly 321. So let's try to see if this works. Choose the first key. Okay, let's see the bronze key. Choose the second key. It's the red key. The third one is the small key. We make our selection and slide a key into each lock. The final key clicks into place. Oh, so mysterious. One by one, all the keys click and turn in the locks. We have placed them all correctly. We are geniuses. As the last key turns, the lid of the chest comes free and we open it. And as you can see, we are about to turn to the final entry of the book, which is the good ending. But just before we do so, let us review real quick our adventure on this amazing map. So we entered the dungeon, we fell into that shallow pit, which is like the garbage heap. We went through the orc quarters, freed the prisoner, which was very important. We learned some important stuff from him, and we also set him free, so that's something. Afterwards we defeated a barbarian, a cursed rope, the gallery with Zagor's painting, and we crossed the river. After that we defeated the boathouse keeper, the werewolf, here, and after some more battles with zombies and defeating a vampire and a ghoul, we ended up in the maze of Zagor, where we have found the dwarves, the minotaur, and the maze master in this order, and either dealt with them or conversed with them all. After defeating the dragon, we have ended up with the warlock. So it was quite an adventure, I would say. Let's see what our reward is. Our quest is over. The Warlock of Firetop Mountain is no more, and we are now the owner of the sorcerer's riches. At least 1,000 gold pieces, jewelry, diamonds, rubies, and pearls are in the chest. Hidden under these, we find the Warlock's spellbook, and as we leaf through the pages, we realize that this tome is probably even more valuable than all that treasure. Instructions are given for the control of all the secrets and the creatures of Firetop Mountain, meaning the ones that we have left alive, so like half of them. With this book, unlimited power is ours, and the safety of our return to the village is ensured. Or, if we would prefer, we could remain as master, as the new master of the domain of Firetop Mountain. No, actually that's not going to happen. This is one of the very few fighting fantasy game books which have direct sequels, and it is clearly stated there that we, the hero, simply returned to the village and left the domain after defeating Zagor. But in any case, this is what we came here to do. We have killed or melted down the warlock of this place, and we have claimed our treasure successfully. So I would say this is a 100% perfect outcome. So before we end this video, I'd like to say a few more words. First of all, thank you for joining me in this adventure. And second, I'm going to say a few words about this one. Obviously, the Warlock of Firetop Mountain is, as the first book of this fighting fantasy series, is extremely important. It's a pivotal piece of work for the series. It is also the most. It also has the most adaptations of all the fighting fantasy books. I'm not sure it is completely deserving of this attention, but from a historical perspective, it definitely is. You need to remember, you need to understand that first of all, back in when it was released in 1982, either 82 or 83, I think, there were no real computer role-playing games, so the only way to role-play was with systems like the original D&D, so not even AD&D, the original very heavy Dungeons and Dragons. And if you wanted to play alone, there were very few options, electronic or almost none, or at least none with any real depth, only text-based adventures that were even simpler than this one, so really weak ones. And this was the very first game book ever globally which implemented the use of dice, so which use stats and attribute rolls. You can imagine that this gave a lot of depth to the experience. And to be fair, it's still an adventure completely playable today. It's still enjoyable. It's fun. I mean, it's fine. The descriptions are great. Some of the encounters are awesome. The text has aged particularly well. I really like the writing style of both Ian Livingstone and Steve Jackson, so I think that their writing is evocative and just fun. Playing fun all around. And on the other hand, there are quite a few issues with this book. First of all, that the main plot of this book is pretty weak. Like, I've been making fun of it, but it is true. It's pretty interesting that we are literally some kind of robber or thief coming to rob a seemingly innocent but stated to be evil person. So somebody we don't see the warlock do anything bad at all. He's simply protecting himself. Just because he's said to be evil, we go there and rob him. And of course, the dungeon itself makes no sense, at least beyond the the quarters, the orc quarters at the beginning. So there's that. But other than that, it's all right. It also foreshadows what many of the later books would be, so it's kind of a collectathon. Here we need to collect 3 keys, the 3 specific keys that we collected, and as you could see, there was no way for us to collect anymore. It is actually not a difficult book to get to the end, and you can defeat the warlock in a straight up battle as well. He's a tough foe, but otherwise it can be done, so it's fine in that regard. But finding the right keys is just down to luck or a lot of replays, which is okay. I actually got very lucky in my first playthrough and found all the 3 keys. So the very first time I played this book, I actually got to the good ending. I found all good keys, and that includes finding the Eye of the Cyclops, because it's located at the same place. The Iron Cyclops guards one of the keys as well. So I actually got to the correct ending in my first playthrough, which is quite lucky. But normally you will have to play through this book quite a few times before you figure this all out, which is how this was intended. This also means that I could not show off like a third or maybe up to half of this book because of parallel paths. You could have seen them in the map screen that I brought up, which showed all the available rooms and encounters, by the way. So um, that's it really. It doesn't hold up as well as the others, but it's still a pivotal piece of work, and it's still quite fun to play. So if you get around to playing it, then more power to you. Play through it at least once. I think it's worth it. I'm not sure how well it plays offline, you know, with dice and with pen, pencil, whatever. But in a digital environment, this is definitely worth spending 1 or 2 hours on. And we have not seen some of the funniest or some of the more intriguing encounters because we had to go in other paths. So there is still some more for you to discover if you are interested and if you want to go into this. The series does get better immediately, actually. So stick with me, and we will continue. But in any case, this book is definitely worth playing once. So if I don't think it's a masterpiece, but as a very first entry in a series and establishing the basic rules and the concepts of the whole series, this has done a more than excellent job. You know, creating this whole universe and the rule set as well. So I'm very happy we played through it. Once again, I thank you for joining me on this adventure, and I hope to see you in our next series, in the next book. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.